In order to get to Scholastic articles online to do college level research, we want you to use a set of databases where we collect professional research articles. Scholastic articles and academic journals are written by professors, written by professional scientists. The research and methodology is peer-reviewed. That means that when one scientist is finished with their research, they send the research to other scientists who then look over it and critique their methodology. And they critique the analysis and say whether or not there are errors that need to be addressed, whether or not it's good science that's viable for a publication. And when it passes peer review, it's then published in an academic journal. The idea behind it is that information and research should be available to the public. One, because most research that's done by professors and at colleges and universities is in part funded by taxes and public grants, but also because in the very nature of science, if the information can be beneficial to society, society has to have access to it. So that's why we use academic journals, and that's why you'll be using this this academic research database in order to find research for your articles. So to actually get to this location on your web browser, go to the Lone Star website. That's lonestar.edu. In the top right corner, we'll click on Libraries. And then on the left side, we will click on Research Databases. So for my class, you'll be doing social sciences. But what you're seeing here is that all the different databases that Lone Star utilizes are organized based upon the topics of the research in that database. So if you have to do research articles and papers for other classes in the future, you might choose a different link at this point. So again, we'll go ahead and click on social sciences. For our paper, we're going to be looking for articles. And what we see here are a collection of the different databases that pertain to social sciences. So you can think about these like Google versus Yahoo versus Dogpile versus Ask Jeeves. They're all databases that do pretty much the same thing, where they organize the articles. When you type in keywords, they will find articles for you. The main difference being they use different algorithms, they have a different user interface. So at this point, you might want to play around with some of the different options that are available and see which one you like, which one meets your needs. My personal suggestion is that you familiarize yourself with Academic Search Complete. This is the Google of Scholastic databases. JSTOR is a good one, but JSTOR is very specific sociology and psychology, so it might not be beneficial if you're in a different topic in the future. But Academic Search Complete has information from every subject that you would ever need, so it's the catch-all that you'll need to know. So we'll go ahead and click on Academic Search Complete. If you are on a Lone Star campus, this page won't show up. It'll log you in automatically. If you are not on a Lone Star campus, we'll just click on LSC Online Users, and then you can log in on the page that follows up with your My Lone Star credentials. Once you get into the Academic Search Complete, it's hosted by EBSCOhost, so this is the company that builds the Academic Search Complete engine. Before you start searching, scroll down, make sure you click full text and Scholastic peer reviewed. Full text will limit the results to articles that are 100% free and 100% online. That is to say that the full text of the article will be visible to you. Scholastic peer-reviewed journals means that the results will be limited to those articles that have gone through the peer review process. Sometimes the database will bring up newspapers, or it will bring up books and book reviews. Those are not journals, those are not Scholastic articles, so we don't want to see those at the moment. Once those two items are checked, you can start looking for articles at this point. Keep in mind that this engine is not as sophisticated as Google. So what I mean by that is that if you misspell a word, it's not going to correct the spelling or know what you talk about. If you put in a particular keyword combination and don't get very good results, just changing the order of the keywords will change the results. So pay particular attention to how you type things in this particular box. For demonstration purposes, I'm going to go ahead and look up feral children. When you're looking at results in the engine, you'll notice that I only came up with 17 results. That's not a whole lot. I could probably be a little different with what I search for up here. Instead of feral children specifically, I could look for socialization children. And now I've got 700 results. So even though these two topics are very closely related, the engine doesn't assume any relations. You have to be very specific. On the left side, you'll see a couple of options where you can narrow down your results if you want. There are also suggestions for similar searches or ways to narrow down what you have. The publication date can be important. For my classes, you don't need to worry about this, but most classes and most research will want you to limit the information that you use to no more than 10 years old. I still have a healthy number of results here, so this is a good set of data to go ahead and start looking through and evaluating which article I want to use. A couple of things to look at in your results. This is an academic journal. Because I clicked peer reviewed, most of these are going to be academic journals. You will occasionally see one that is a newspaper article or a book. Newspaper articles and books are not acceptable for my class for this particular subject. If you come across an article that seems promising, you can click on the title of the article to see more information about it. This will include all the information that you're going to want when you create your citation. It will generally have an abstract. An abstract is a good summary of the article. It's a way of gauging whether or not the article is what you thought it would be based on the headline, and whether or not the article is going to be particularly difficult to read with the vocabulary, the sophistication, or the specialization with which they wrote it. If you read through the abstract and decide that the article is of use, it's also worth paying attention to how long your article is. This one is 13 pages. To actually read my article, I'll click on PDF full text. And here is the article as it was published. Another thing to keep in mind when you're looking at these articles, if your article doesn't start with an abstract, then that article is not going to be acceptable for this particular assignment. You can download your article. That way, if you don't want to have to go through the engine to find your article again in the future, there are several links that you can use to save your article and just have your own copy. When going through your article, you should pay attention to the headers. In general, these articles will follow the same sort of outline. They'll have an introduction and a research section where they talk about the information and research that already exists. Then they'll talk about the method or methodology. That's a summary of how this particular research was conducted, including who participates and what age group is being looked at. There will be a findings or conclusion or analysis section that will summarize exactly what their research concluded, what they found out based on their data. And usually they also have a conclusion towards the end. Discussions are interesting. Not all articles have them, but the discussion is a section where they relate their data to the real world. How is it going to have applications and uses in the real world, or what it means for relationships or other research going forward. You'll want to make sure that as you summarize the article, pay attention to the headers that are in the article. It will help you find the information and make the summaries for the headers that are required for your assignment. If you're particularly interested in the topic, there's always going to be a citation section at the end where you can find more articles that are along the same topic as the one you just looked at. One last tool that you can use in the EBSCOhost Academic Search Complete engine, either while reading the article, the Cite button here, or when looking at the summary for your article, the Cite button here will show you an APA or ASA citation style. You can simply copy and paste this from the citation format here into your paper. For other classes that you'll be taking in the future, there's also an MLA citation, and some of them have ASA, not all of them do. For this particular project, you can use the APA citation style. It's pretty much the same as ASA. If at any point during this you have questions about whether or not your topic is sociological, one easy way to answer that question is looking at your article summary. If you look at the source, that will tell you the name of the journal that published the article, and if the name of the journal is sociological, then you can use that article. If it's not sociological, you cannot. So with this one, the reverse socialization of sports fans, how children impact their parents' fandom, this is sociological. We can tell by the very nature of it, even though the journal is not. So if the title gives you hesitancy and the source gives you hesitancy, err on the safe side and skip that. While doing research, if you have any other questions about this, feel free to email me using the D2L email system.